I walked in the place, sat by the bar, all the drinks on me, don't go too far, sitting by the bartender, asked her.
What's going on? What's going on? It's your boy Ikon. And we here on 910 Sports Podcast once again. First and foremost, I want to thank God for this opportunity and to be able to have this great platform to interview great people. Next, I will introduce my right-hand man, your baby mama's favorite host. You know what I'm saying? The one that gets it done. You know what I'm saying? No matter what the circumstances are. My man, Jacob the Great. What's going on, fam?
Man, what up, man? Just glad to be here in the land of the living. You know, what my motto is, we wake up, we got a chance and a choice, another day to get it right. And so
Yes,
in
sir.
the process, we get to interview some of these great, mentors, coaches, advocates, athletes, and, just cause in the sports world, mentorship goes along with being a coach. You know, coach is more than a coach, just your coach, a pastor, a friend, a mentor, advocate of the community. So it's just great to have people who take time with these young men and these young women and, give them a greater opportunity to achieve, to get to the next level.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, so go ahead and introduce this man, this gentleman, so we can get started.
All right,
Get this on the road.
today we have none other than, Coach Shaun Wright, Cross High School, the Cross Trojans, Cross South Carolina, man, and he gonna tell us his story and how he got started and what coaching means to him and how important his kids are to him. So, Coach, welcome.
Thank you guys. Thank you guys for having me. It is a pleasure to be on with you guys tonight.
Okay. So, Coach, when people ask who is Coach Shaun Wright, what type of answer is that?
Wow. I think I'm somebody who took my time. I didn't rush anything as far as my career was concerned. I was able to graduate from high school, play at a 4-year college at Charleston Southern, earned my degree there. Got out of college, didn't really know what I wanted to do. Got into coaching right after college, but wasn't certified to teach. And so, but was loving the aspect of just being around the kids and coaching. And then I realized, if I'm going to be in this business and in this profession, I need to go ahead and get certified. So I ended up getting certified at the Citadel, got my master's from the Citadel, became certified, and then started, really full-time coaching. I was an assistant at Cross for a few years, and then I was an assistant at Timberland for a few years. Then I went to Kingstree for a few years, and then my alma mater, Cross High School, came available. And in 2009, I was able to become the head football coach there and athletic director. And I've been there ever since. No longer the athletic director. I'm now the assistant athletic director because in that county, they did away with head coaches also being the athletic directors. But really, I still have a lot of the, same type of duties that I had when I was athletic director. So, who I am is that's the path that I took. And, I'm really loving what I'm doing. I don't consider this a job. I consider this a hobby, so to speak, that I love doing and getting paid to do it.
Okay. So tell us about your experience. Let's rewind it back. Let's talk about your passion for the game and with you growing up being a youngster, playing ball, high school level, then playing on the collegiate level. What kept your passionate on fire? Your passion on fire when it comes to the love for the game of football?
My dad was the announcer at Cross, and so on Friday nights he would go announce the football games, and he was the voice of Cross. And so, as a young kid, I would go to the games with him, and just to hear him announce, those players as they were making plays or tackles or whatever they were doing on the football field. It just it created a dream with me. And then he also would because he taught at the elementary school, and so when we would get out of school, of course, we would ride by the high school, and he used to sometimes not take me to practice, but he would drive the car and we would slow down. He would slow down almost about 5 miles per hour just so I could get a look at those guys on the football field as they were practicing. And for those 10 seconds, man, he kept doing that over and over. And I fell in love with, those blue helmets and just the love of the game. And it's been sticking with me ever since.
Okay. So your dad was the voice of Cross. So when you're on that field, on the high school level,
right,
to hear your dad call out your name, or what, Shaun Wright on the carry, Shaun Wright for the catch, and Shaun Wright stops him at the goal line, or interception by Shaun Wright, just to hear your dad say that, and you're his son, and you're doing all this spectacular stuff on the field, and he's the announcer. What type of feeling was that? Emotionally?
My dad, we weren't, he was an old school guy, and he would he didn't speak a whole lot. We didn't speak a whole lot as far as certain things, but man, when it came down to sports, when it came down to football, when it came down to cross-eye football, just to hear your name being called on that speaker by him, I mean, it was something that it just excited me. It created some passion. It wanted me to play that much harder. I played running back and linebacker. Every time I knew I carried the ball, he was going to have something to say. So that gave me an opportunity to just play with a whole lot of effort, offensively and defensively. And I was just excited to have that kind of guy that I lived with. I was spoiled in that aspect.
Okay, so when your peers and people in the community, the pillars of the community, the youth mentors of the community, from the league, from the little league coaches all the way up to the high school coaches, just because of who your dad was, did they expect so much more from you than other players?
They probably did. They didn't really voice that a whole lot. I didn't really feel that type of pressure. Of course, I feel more pressure now that I'm the head football coach. But as a youngster, it was more. There wasn't a whole lot of people that left Cross High School and went to college to play football. And so I think once they realized that I was going to get a scholarship, it was more or less, wow, somebody from Cross, is able to, graduate from here and earn a scholarship. So it was more or less them being surprised, but also proud of the fact that I was able to do that. But I didn't feel a whole lot of pressure.
Okay. So was you a 3-letter, athlete?
No, I was 4-letter.
4-letter. So let's talk about what all you played in and how you excel in the other sports besides football as well.
I played basketball at Cross, and I ran track. And I played a little baseball. I didn't play baseball long because I was scared of that ball. But I played baseball for a little while, and I was just one of those guys, and you go to Cross, we're a small school. You were expected to play multiple sports, and we wanted to play as many sports as you could. And that was something that I did, coming through Cross throughout all my years there. So, I really enjoyed that time.
Okay. So, with that being said, man, I see a lot is going on with the female athletics at Cross as well. And so you have is this young lady your daughter, Layla Wright? Is that your daughter?
She is my daughter. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay. So I'm following your pages, and I see you make a post, and I see all these people chiming in. I say, oh, people don't chime in on kids athletes unless they that deal.
Oh yeah.
So with you being a head football coach and preparing your daughter, you know, is it a little bit more pressure on you to prepare your daughter and to coach these young men, or do they all get the same treatment?
Y'all get the same treatment. I don't put pressure on my kids. When I go home, we don't really talk about sports a whole lot because they know this is what I do. It's pretty much 24/7. But when I get home, I've learned over the years to drop that once I open the door and get in that house, and we try to discuss things outside of sports. But now she's held her own. I'm super proud of her. She plays multiple sports as well, and it's not that I forced her or my sons for that matter to play these sports, but that's just something that they wanted to do, and I support them wholeheartedly.
Okay, so from your kids' aspect, is there more pressure on them because their dad is a head football coach and a championship football coach? Is that a lot of pressure on them from their other peers in what coaches outside of you expect from them?
I would imagine so, especially for my boys. My oldest son played for me. He's now graduated. And I would guess that it was some pressure on them to live up to the standards of what I brought to the table. Of course, I'm a guy that my players know I really, really care for them, and we coach them really hard. And I'm very passionate about the game, and so they saw that as young kids, and of course, when they got of age to play for me, my oldest. He understood that that's just how I was going to deal with him. And, I didn't show any favoritism. I coached him just like everybody else.
So you're from around that era when Ivory Latta was in school?
No, I'm a little bit older than Ivory Latta. I played with Joe Hamilton. I played with Courtney Brown. And we
Okay.
all from that same area. Pearson
Okay.
Fellow. Yeah,
Okay.
those guys. Mm-hmm.
So you play against that Lamar? You
I
played against
didn't. I didn't play against Lamar. We didn't play against Lamar when I was in high school, but of course, during that time, I think that was John Abraham and those guys.
right.
Yeah, we didn't get a chance to play against them, but of course, we knew about them. My years in high school, we were typically a second round team. We didn't really make it past the second round, so we either ran into Lakeview or Timmonsville at that time.
Timminsville. Okay. Timminsville, Bishopville, Lakeville.
Oh
Okay.
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah, okay.
sir.
Okay. I'm familiar.
Yep.
I'm gonna get ready to pass to my brother, but I'm gonna ask you one more question before I give it over to him. So would you playing on the collegiate level and and knowing what collegiate sports is about, what is the structure of you preparing these athletes that's going to be potentially get scholarships? Because you have about 11 players that may get scholarships, either JUCO, Division One, Division Two, Division Three, or NIA. And so to have that many players that's getting looked at to get full ride scholarships, what is the strategic manner that you kind of prepare them for college?
Well, number one, with these guys, they know academics is going to come first, and so the one thing that I have set up at Cross is, we have someone who is pretty much in charge of, keeping up with their grades, keeping up with their testing, and she's been a big help to us over the years. And so we want to make sure we take that out of the equation, because we all know when these college coaches come in here that the two things that they're going to ask right off the bat is, how's that young man's character, and let me see some grades. And so we set that up for those guys, and with our tutoring system that we have in place throughout the week, we make sure that grades is not going to be an issue. And in addition to that, we make sure these guys hit the camp circuits. Being at Cross High School, we are a small school, so very rare are you going to get an offer on just your film alone. You're going to have to actually go to these camps, and you're going to have to compete against the guys that they're actually recruiting off of their film because they are the larger schools. So our kids know that. And the one thing that I do like about our kids at Cross is, because of the fact that we're small and sometimes overlooked, that does create a chip on our shoulders, on these kids' shoulders, to where when they go there, it's like, okay, I don't care what high school you from. I don't care how many touchdowns you scored, how many interceptions you got. I'm going to go there and show them that I belong just as much as you belong. So with grades, camp circuit, the parent involvement, we have all of those things in place to where, if you come to Cross and you in our program, you pretty much are going to be shown everything that was shown to me once I graduated. So, and with our coaching staff, this is unique about Cross, and it's maybe a good reason why we win as many games as we do. When I make my coaching hires, I try to hire people who have already played football in college, because to me, the head coach, it could get monotonous as far as me telling the players what to do. But when they got the same message being preached to them by all the different coaches, sometimes it resonates a whole lot more.
Okay. And so what's interesting for me is you have a academic administrator for athletics. That's real interesting to me, because I think that more coaches should care about their players in depth and care if they obtain an education. That's something that people can take football away, but they can't take your education away. And so with that right there, you prepare them for the real world. And I can really, commend you for that. And I definitely embrace the fact that you are doing something of that magnitude to even just make the parents open their eyes. This kid is special. And if you don't know he's special, or you don't know she's special, I'm going to let you know that's special. So I can appreciate that. I come over to you.
Okay, so before we continue on, I always got to shout out our affiliates, our partners, Village Global Network, our 2 other radio stations, where we got 8 radio stations with them, 173 countries that this will be seen on and heard on, and our 2 other radio stations, T-Dub Entertainment Radio and She Real Radio. If you want to get an interview or hire us to be media, hit us up at Ikon at 910sports and gmail.com, and also follow us at 910 Sports and Entertainment Network on YouTube. So please subscribe. So anyway, Coach, so being an athletic director and a coach, how much pressure is it on you to handle those daily duties?
It's a lot. When I try to hire these coaches that I've hired, I want to make sure that they understand the process of everything I explained earlier about, grades, making sure that they are in, contact with parents. So I try to explain each coaching role to the point to where they kind of run their own programs. I kind of oversaw it. And, for the most part, I just kept up with the eligibility and allow them to work at the rate that they were working. And, it made things a little bit easier for me. But because I was the head football coach, I wanted to make sure, and they wanted to make sure, that I just didn't pour all of my efforts into just football, but I wanted to know that I cared about all the other sports as well. So with being an athletic director, it came with a lot of pressure, but I was also satisfied at the fact of seeing our other sports do well as well. And I'm from Cross, and I was able to come back there and be the athletic director there. So of course I want to see all our sports excel.
Okay, so dealing with the student, how much do you have to deal with all the students and all the athletes that if they have to, do they ever have to come to you, or all the students coming to you, or are they basically more like going to their coaches in their perspective sport when it comes to different things they may have going on at home and in the classroom and things of that nature?
Well, I have an open door policy. I think in addition to being a coach, it is our duty to fill whatever role that these kids need filled, whether that's, me being a listener, giving some guidance, pep talk, encouragement. I think as a teacher / coach, just somebody who's involved with kids every day, I think it is our duty to extend yourself beyond what you do on the football field, on the court, or what so have you. And so, these kids, they come to me, not all the time. I mean, I think they're able to go to their coaches as well, but they know they can come to me, and I will try to help them as best I can. And I enjoy doing that. That's probably one of the better parts of my day. Just knowing that the kids trust coming to me and asking questions or getting guidance. And to me, that's if I could speak to any coach out there that's listening, if you can get today's kid to trust you and to tell you things, a lot of times that doesn't happen in their own home. So if you can get that to happen in your school setting, I mean, you really, really are on top of things. And it doesn't happen a lot, but for the ones that do, I'm able to help them a lot, and they help me.
Okay, so are you considered a player's coach, or are you considered a Joe Clark in between? So what kind of what's your reputation on the campus when it comes to the students and the kids and the athletes?
Now, that's a question. That's a good question. And I don't know if any coach would honestly answer that all of the time, but I would say I kind of dip and dab in both areas. I can definitely drop the hammer and be that Joe Clark guy, but I definitely think I am a player's coach as well. I tell my coaches, the people who I hire, it's not so much what we know, because we can be the smartest coach in the world, but it's what your kids know. And so I like the fact of having my players take ownership of the team, take ownership of the plays, take ownership of just everything that it entails for us to be successful on a Friday night. And so once they feel as though they have ownership, man, I sit back. My best teams haven't been led by coaches; it's been led by the players. And I think they have more fun that way when they can lead each other, and because then they don't hear my mouth a lot. So, but I've had teams to where I didn't have good leaders, and the coaches had to lead. So we dip and dab in both, and I think the better coaches know how to do that.
So let me ask you a question about this whole this past over the start of the season, especially on NFL level, the running back has been diminished.
Mm-hmm.
But the part about high school football, the running back dominates. College football, the running back still has a place and dominates. But for some reason, we get to the NFL and he's diminished. What's your thoughts on that? And do you feel like that's going to be something that's going to hinder kids from wanting to play that position coming up through high school and college in the future?
I just think as far as the running back is concerned, if you think about defenses now, and especially in the NFL, I mean, the game has become way more physical than it has been in the past. And these running backs, especially in the NFL, they take a pounding. And I think from that aspect, these owners, they feel as though they could pay less now for running backs because they try to load the teams up with about 2 or 3 of them, or 3 or 4 of them, so that one guy doesn't have to make all of the carries. If you guys can remember way back when, every NFL team had that star running back. From the Emmitt Smiths to the Herschel Walkers to the Roger Craigs. You name it. Every team had that one special running back in the day, but the offenses were built around those guys. I mean, you had the fullback in the game, you had the offensive line in the game, you had the running backs that's what going to carry the ball 30 or 40 times. Now football is more east-west. Let's spread you out. Let's get the matchups that we want. We're not going to hand this ball off 30 times to one guy. We're going to split those up. So the offenses have changed. Even the way the referees call the games now, it's all built upon offenses scoring a lot of points, and you're not going to score a lot of points just handing the football off. So I think everybody wants to see the score board lit up. They don't want to see a 7-3 ball game. They don't want to see a 14-6 ball game. That's boring. They want to see 35-28. They want to see 42-31, and so that's where it is.
It's funny you say that, Coach. Don't you do it. Don't you do it. Let me talk. So, Coach, I grew up playing defensive tackle and nose guard.
Okay.
So to me, if I see a game and the ending of the game is 47-45, I'm scratching my head like, oh my.
Yeah, how we give up that many points, right? Yeah.
I'm like, man, what is this defense coordinator doing? I mean, 20-17 is a good game to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But when you start scoring over 40 points, you just selling tickets. You ain't really, when it's in crunch time, the defense is not going to be there. And so I'm just thinking, so if they're scoring that many points, why is the defensive coordinator even needed? If it's gonna be 51-47, or if it's gonna be 48-45, like, what are we doing here? You know what I mean? Like is these defensive players are they out here taking an acting class, or what are we doing?
Yeah, it's tough on the defense, man. But nowadays, most defenses, they want a key stop in the game. If they can get a key stop, they can win that game. You know what I'm saying? It ain't all about stopping them the whole game, but can I stop you this drive? Can I stop you that drive? You know what I'm saying? And that's how it's built. And the big thing is the RPOs, man, that changed the whole game of football. Because now a pass looks just like a run. I played linebacker. And I'm the offensive coordinator at my school, and I'm the offensive coordinator because I know what hurts a defense, and I know what hurts linebackers. I can't even imagine playing linebacker in today's game because you got to think about this. RPOs, that's a run action by the lineman, but it's a pass by the quarterback. So you got guards pulling, tackles pulling, and you play nose guard, right? So if you got a tackle and a guard pulling, and the quarterback got that ball in that running back's belly to a linebacker, to a defensive lineman, that's a run, 100%.
Right.
Then they pull that ball out of that running back's stomach, and now you got a pass going down the field. I mean, that's tough, man. I mean, you know what I'm saying? And now, if the way they sub in now, so they don't allow the defense to sub without the offense subbing, or the offense subbing without the defense. I mean, they wait. You got to wait. If somebody subs in, you got to wait till the other team subs in. So the advantage is constantly moving, man. This game is built for offense.
Now,
It is. And
hold up, Jacob. Because I let you say what you want to say, because we've been debating about this, Coach. So we're going to go back for a second. First of all,
yeah, he don't like defense. I do.
No.
That's what it is.
You told me not to talk when you said what you said, so let me talk.
Okay, go ahead.
I said, Coach. I said it's not that I don't like defense. I said I like timely defense, like you just said. I like interceptions. I like scooping scores. I like big sacks. I like big plays on defense. I don't want to see the Jets and the Giants last week 24 punt type game. But at the same time, you know what I'm saying? I don't want to see what I'm seeing tonight either with USC and Washington. I don't know if you've been watching that game, but it looked like rookie mode on Madden, the way they're going up and down the field. I don't want to see that necessarily either. But at the same time, and then another thing I wanted to comment on when you said about the RPO game. So because Jacob was saying that why don't more teams do option? And I said the reason why, because these players are so athletic, do option, it takes too long for the play to develop. Well, RPO you have more options with RPO than you do with an option play. So elaborate on that for us, please, sir.
You 1,000% correct. I mean, as far as option concerned, the game is these kids are way too fast. These players are way too fast for that. But an RPO is the new option. You see what I'm saying? You don't have a dive and a quarterback and a pitch. You may have a run action and a throw behind who's supposed to tackle that run. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I feel as though that's why they built the RPOs into the systems that they have now. Because if you think about it, the Georgia Techs, the Air Force, the Navies, those guys that were running true triple option. I mean, you can't run that stuff against these guys. I mean, think about the linebackers and how fast they are and how fast those things close. You know what I'm saying?
Because my thing too was with like I watched like Alabama, Georgia. You watch elite college teams or whatever, or even NFL. These defensive linemen now are like they wasn't. You had like a few elite defensive linemen back in the day. They're like a Warren Sapp or somebody that was on that level. Now most of these defensive linemen can run down a running back, can catch a running quarterback. You know what I mean? So it's a lot different.
Brother, you hit it on the head again. And I'm a big strength and condition guy. Man, I don't know if y'all paid attention to the drafts these last couple of years, but these combines, I mean, them big guys from Georgia, man. I mean, you got somebody 300 plus pounds running a 4.8, 4.7 40. I mean, that's dangerous out there. You got linebackers that Michael Parsons, man. What is it, 4.38? I mean, you're talking 250 something pounds running 4.38. I mean, what you ain't running no option at that. The game, the kids are now way faster, way more explosive because of all of the technology that they have out there. That's why the game now is more east-west and not north-south. These kids will knock each other out the games, man. If it was more north-south stuff, you couldn't do that, man. So
right. So, Coach, I heard a old school coach that I know. He coached about 40 years, and he said that the kids be souped up at 12 years old.
Yes.
I said, what do you mean? He said, man, they have these kids lifting weights, lifting weights twice a day. They have these kids taking these products, and he was like, versus us and versus guys your age, we just was Puckwood guys, country strength guys.
Yeah.
He said, but when you got these kids souped up, that's the reason why the game has changed so much. He said, because and I know Most of the running backs we played against, they was fast and they was really strong. He said now you have a lot of finesse running backs. You know what I mean? And a lot of people. I see teams be on the 5 yard line and they have these running backs, but I see teams that don't make it into the end zone. And I've always said that these coaches just forgot about how valuable the fullback are. The fullback is. You know what I mean? And the colleges that I see still run the fullback, like Wisconsin, like Purdue, you know, like Fresno State, San Diego State. You know, it's certain times that the fullback is needed. You know, just like the fullback dump pass that's needed. You know, that ain't really nothing but the fullback just cutting up through the middle, going out 5 or 6 yards, and getting that pass. Tom Brady did it all the time. You know, and it seems like the tight end nowadays is only used for blocking.
Mm-hmm.
The besides Travis Kelce in the NFL, who can we name as a really, really elite tight end?
Well, it just depends. To me, you have some really, really athletic tight ends that have come through now. To me, you got those flex guys, those guys who can line up in line and be an inline tight end, and you got some of them that can line up out wide.
Right.
When you go and look through the NFL now, they're more hybrid guys that could play, both positions. But yeah, you're right. Going out of days where you have the true fullback or the true tight end that's just a blocking guy. I mean, they want guys that can stretch the field, and they're not going to, to me, and even with us, at Cross, I play with an H-back, which is a glorified fullback, so to speak, or a guy that could go out and play in the slot or play out wide as well. So, it's definitely changed as far as, the old school fullback, the old school tight end. It's more flex guys now. And like I said, that's another part of the offensive arsenal that they can take advantage of somebody.
So do you still believe in the tight ends like the Jeremy Shockleys, the Jason Witten, the Jay Novaceks, the Britt Joneses, those type of tight ends that really are not really speedsters, but they don't drop anything?
I mean, maybe in certain aspects of the game, short yardage, I'm not sure those guys, will play the whole game, because, unless they can run, and if they big and can run, then yeah, so be it. And to me, who gets those guys are the Alabamas, the Georgias. You go check those tight ends out. Those guys are 6'7", 260, 270, but they can run 4'6", 4'7". And when you got a guy, when you got a guy and you think 4'6", 4'7", well, that's not that fast. Well, check the size out. 4'6", 4'7", but you 260 and you 6'8", you 6'7", you 6'5". I mean, that's a lot, man, to deal with.
Yeah.
You think about a lot of these NBA guys, man. I think some of these NBA guys could be really good tight ends or H-backs. I mean, think about somebody like LeBron. That's a 6'8", 6'9", 260, 270-pound guy that can, he cat quick, man. So, they're out there. It's just a matter of, can you find those guys and can you plug them in your offense?
Right. So as far as you as a coach, as a head coach, and you're in the playoffs, so congratulations on going to the second round. Most definitely. So with a lot of coaches, I feel that I see a lot of coaches that run the same offensive and defensive plays that they ran all season. But this is the playoffs. It's win or go home. So
That's right.
So with you being a coach, and on a high school level, how vast can you mix it up when it comes to your play calling? And when mixing it up, do you think players be able to adapt really, 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 really fast? Because playoffs games move real, real fast.
Oh yeah.
It's not about a playoff game.
Oh yeah. I'm not sure if I heard the whole question. It was kind of choppy for a second, but yeah, as a being in the playoffs, man. Say again.
Let me repeat it for you. I said let me repeat it for you.
Okay.
I said with you being in the playoffs, and the players running fast, and you have to make fast decisions and talk to your offensive players different for. You can't.
You're breaking up. You're breaking up.
Yeah, it's hard. You really breaking up. I don't know if your
internet don't.
Your internet's acting up. I don't know because you frozen too.
Yeah, you might have to jump out and jump back in for a second. But because while he's fixing his technical difficulties on his side, we'll keep it going. So I'll let him ask his question when he comes back in. So Coach, what's the challenges of being at a small school and to being able to be consistent with your with picking athletes year in and year out?
Man, that is it's hard, man. It's really hard. It's frustrating sometimes. But the key to being successful is to make sure that you have a good system in place. From rec league all the way down. I mean, all the way up to middle school ball, to JV, to varsity. And that's one of the things that I want to, personally have my hand in is, those levels. And once you create a dream of, a young kid starting in the, kindergarten and coming through a system that he can see, it kind of helps you maintain. But yeah, our programs that cross from the rec leagues, to the middle school leagues have been really, really strong. And, we've been very, very fortunate to have those guys in place, those adults in place, and the community really kind of, comes around those programs and helps those guys out, those kids out. And so, but yeah, the numbers game is tough. Like I think this year right here, I'm only dressing about 28 kids. And it's nothing new. It's just that, it's tough when you play the bigger schools. And I like to play the bigger schools early on in the schedule so that it'll prepare us for the playoffs. And so when you play those bigger schools, sometimes you run out of gas because, they just got more numbers than you have. Tell you the truth is when we went to the state championship, we played, I only took 29 kids and we won the state championship with 29 kids. And so, at Cross, anywhere from 25 to 32 kids is the norm for us.
Okay. So before I get back to Jacob, how impressive then, because being that you saying you play with a limited amount of kids, how impressive is what Travis Hunter is doing?
Oh my goodness. Yeah. I think Dion finally found a kid that is a lot like him. And I think what he wanted to do is to put that kid on the platform like he was. The only thing that I feel as though hinders that is I don't think Colorado. I mean, I think everybody's kind of caught up to Colorado now. So the number of plays that he's having to expend himself on on one side of the ball or another is extensive. Now, if they were real dominant on defense or real great on offense, you wouldn't see him on the field that much. But most people who do that back in the day, the play counts weren't as high, and that's the problem. That's the problem I think that they may run into. But yeah, that kid is special and he can do it, and he looks like he's having fun doing it, and he's going to be a first round draft pick.
Okay, go ahead, Jacob.
So, Coach, how important is your offensive line to you, and what levels of the offensive line and their components, do you really embrace all the time? I mean, a lot of people don't talk about the offensive line a lot, but they are a key component of winning championships. So if you will elaborate on that for me, please.
I can tell you right now, I don't know how far we're going to go. We got to play Allendale this Friday. Just watching them on film. Matter of fact, before I got on this Zoom call with you guys, I was watching film of Allendale. And I can tell you right now, we go, no matter what team I've had, we go as the offensive linemen go. And I made it my business this year right here to, like, if I had a running back that rushed for over 200 yards or over 150 yards, or a quarterback that threw for, 200 plus yards, I made sure to mention those guys in the paper because, you ain't going to ever see many linemen with their names in the paper based off of a big rushing night or a big passing night. But those guys are the key for both of those. And so, when it comes down to offensive linemen, man, I really, really adore the guys that we have and the guys that have come through the program. If they're selfless, number one, they don't ask for the ball. They just go out there and throw their bodies in the way every play for somebody else. And that's, how more unselfish can you get than that? And to me, I think that's the position that we all know as coaches and as you guys know is very important. But the average fan, you don't ever talk about. They don't talk about the great offensive linemen. They talk about the great receivers, the great quarterbacks, the great running backs, wide receivers. You know what I'm saying? So. Yeah, man, you talk about offensive linemen now, that perks me up because those guys are special, and the guys I have at Cross are special. And we're going to ride their coattails, man.
Yeah, because I like the front four on both sides of the ball.
No doubt about it. The defensive linemen, I mean, they're just as good. And I'm going to tell you, in our division, it's Class A or 1A ball, and matter of fact, some 2A balls, those offensive linemen turn right around and go play defense. And so, it's about attrition and who can do it, play after play after play after play. And so, yeah, man, I cherish those guys, man. I make sure and feed them good. They the first to eat. I make sure they pick out their equipments first. I try to treat those guys really, really well.
I can dig it. So Coach, you coach a lot of running backs in your day, right?
Oh yeah.
So what is the art form of having great technique and footwork for a running back? Some people have natural speed, but they don't know how to run.
Correct. I think a running back, the good ones, of course, you want someone who can change direction. You want someone who's explosive. You want someone who can run through tackles. Those are the intangibles that you look for. But the best running backs, to me, play with their eyes. It's the vision. It's can you see the blocking scheme forming before you actually, make that run? And that's patience. The young ones don't have that patience. They want to just try to hit it and go. And a lot of times, if they will allow the scheme to take place, they can get that much more yards than sometimes just hitting it. Now, some plays call for, you just, taking off and hitting it. But most plays these days, you need the scheme to happen, and then you make the run behind it. And what I mean by that, most people now run a lot of zone scheme, inside, outside zone, power counter, those type of deals. And on those deals, the running back has to get a feel for the lineman, their movement, their blocks, the angle of their blocks. Where can I press the line of scrimmage and where can I bounce? Or where can I press the line of scrimmage and where can I cut back? Most of those things take time. And so the ones that are patient, that have that vision, those are the ones that really, really make it to the next level or become really, really good at what they're doing. So, yeah, the intangibles that I first mentioned, but to me, the vision of those running backs, makes them special.
Okay. And Coach, what are your favorite two offensive formats and your favorite two defensive formats?
Now, when you say formats, you mean just philosophy overall? Like, what do we like to do on offense? What we like to do on defense? As far as that, is that what you're asking?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, well, on offense, we've become a big zone team, but we mix in zone with power counter. So to me, if you can, zone block and gap block, that makes you really, really hard to defend, because you really have to, as a linebacker, as defensive lineman, you got to kind of fit those two schemes differently. In addition to those two run schemes, I love the quick passing game. In high school, I just don't feel as though the linemen are that versed at really giving a quarterback 3.5 seconds to throw a football. And so with that being said, the quick passing game to me is invaluable. And when I say quick passing game, that doesn't mean we can't throw the football down the field. It just means I'm going to release that football a little bit earlier than expected. So, those two things, as far as the run scheme and the quick passing game has been really, really good to us. And I can't see myself running anything else as far as offense. Defensively, I like an odd front, and I'm gonna tell you why I like an odd front. And for those who don't know what an odd front is, basically you have a nose guard that covers up the center, and you have somebody else gonna cover up the tackles. And I like them head up. I like them head up the center, head up the tackles. And the reason I like those guys head up, that now creates a guessing game for the offensive lineman, because they don't know where those guys are going to go, being that they're head up. We slant one way or another. We pinch one way or another. We may loop one way or another. We don't just line up in a 1 technique, a 5 technique, a 3 technique, those type of things, because to me, that's too easy for an offensive lineman to figure out. But if I'm head up on you, where am I going? See, that's and then now what that does is it forces you as an offensive line coach to not teach the play, but teach the rules of the play. So if you play against a cross defense, I'm going to figure out probably play 3 or play 4, just how well your offensive line coach is, because you have to teach the rule of the blocking scheme and not just the block itself, because you don't know where cross is going to go. And to me, that is what makes defenses, for me, pretty special. Now, that's the run game. Passing wise, I don't want to play any man-to-man. And you might say, well, why not, Coach? If you got corners that can play man-to-man, Why not do that? Well, to me, if I got somebody that's playing man, that means when the receiver runs down the field, his eyes is on that receiver and his back is turned to the play. So what happens if you running the football, but I'm running down the field with your wide receiver? Well, that's one less man that's in the box or that could get to the football. I want all 11 guys on my defense to know within 2 seconds, are you running or are you passing? So every kid on my defense has somebody that they're going to look at that's going to give that clue away. Once they get the clue and they know that, okay, this is a pass or this is a run, they then put their foot in the ground and then they go on whatever angle they need to go to get to the ball. That makes us, even if I got slower kids, make us look fast on defense. You see what I'm saying? Because they can diagnose run pass. And a lot of people, man, to me, that's how we've been winning also. I give you guys a stat, and it's not that we great football players and not that we great coaches, but in our region, we have not given up a touchdown in 2 years. We've shut out every team in our region in 2 years. And out of all of those games we've played, I can count on one hand how many times we've played man on defense. It has been zone. We either going to cover 2 or we're going to cover 3 because I want all 11 looking at the football, looking at the play, as opposed to looking at the man. Now, don't get me wrong. We get to the goal line, or if you get to the goal line, we will jump in some man, but that's very, very rare.
Wow. In 2 years. Wow.
In 2 years. In
Man,
2 years.
Man. You my type of coach. Defense. That's what I'm talking about, man. And,
hey, man.
And man,
if you can't score, you can't win.
Yeah, man. And just to pick about what you said, any young man that plays the nose guard position, he a dog. He a dog. Believe that.
You ain't gonna play an odd front unless you got a dog at the nose, because you gonna be, to me, if you're gonna be an odd front, if you're gonna play somebody with you gonna put somebody head up on that center, you gotta draw a double team, or unless you're gonna expose your linebackers. And if you got somebody that's gonna draw a double team where you free the linebackers up, so those guys are gonna continuously make plays. And so that's why we play it, because we've always had a good nose guard, and to me, that can a nose guard can change the whole game. And I tell you, we got to go against a good one on Friday against Allendale. They got a number 77, man. That kid is a complete monster. And so I'm trying to figure out what we're going to do with him, but we'll see.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I come back to you.
Hey, all I can say is by you just saying that y'all haven't gave up a touchdown in 2 years, and you coaching at a smaller school, that's very, very impressive, because you hear those about the bigger schools, the Charlotte Independents and the bigger schools from back in the day, whatever. But when you come from I come from a small town, and I already know that it's hard to get athletes, and not even when you got great athletes in your city, a lot of time they distracted by other things going on at street life or whatever, or they can't keep their grades up and things of that nature. So sometimes you don't even really get the players you really want, that's really athletic or really could be great, because they distracted with life, you know what I'm saying, or whatever. So I just commend you and salute you for what the job that you're doing at that school or whatever. And hope I don't know what your plan is, if your goal is to get to a bigger level, to get to a college or NFL school or whatever, or NFL or whatever. So whatever it is, man, I see you doing bigger things if that's what you want to do.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. I'm a selfless guy, man. We at Cross, I just feel as though I treat people well, man. I think as coaches, you only as good as how you treat your staff. You're only as good as how you treat the people around you. And the one thing that I learned a long time ago is I try to give people their flowers, man, while they're living. And, when I got good people around me, I want them to know how I feel about what they're doing. Because to me, if I'm just pouring in positivity to you every single day, to me, that makes you want to work that much harder with me. Not so much for me, but with me, because I feel as though that's how you get the most out of people. Another thing that I feel as though I do that some may not do, I don't ask my coaches to do anything that I would not do. If I say, guys, go paint the field, it's not guys go paint the field. It's guys, let's go paint the field. So I'm dirty with those guys. If we doing laundry, I'm doing laundry with those guys. I'm not one of these head coaches that's gonna sit behind my desk while everybody else works. And maybe that's because I'm at a small school and sometimes I don't have a choice. But just who I came up under, man, I feel as though I'm gonna do the dirty work along with everybody else, because to me that respect factor, that's long lasting. And so with all that being said, I feel as though we are doing what we're doing because of the love that is felt throughout the building, and the kids can see that too, man. And I can't take the credit for that. We visited, y'all heard about Dutch Fork in Columbia, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So they had a defensive coordinator a couple of years ago by the name of Pelham. He's now the head coach at White Knoll, and you see how they're doing on defense, right?
Right.
And matter of fact, they beat Dutch Fork. We went and met with Pelham, and pretty much to the T, we've been doing a lot of what Dutch Fork has been doing and what White Knoll is currently doing on defense, and it shows, man. So, and I'm a student of the game. As far as I don't feel as though the day I feel as though I learned too much, I need to quit. I'm going to always try to build upon the knowledge bank and just try to add more things to the repertoire, so that when these new offenses that keep evolving, we got to keep evolving on defense.
Yes, sir.
But just tell about Coach. But tell everybody where they can find you, reach out to you, look you up, all that kind of good stuff. So before we get out of here.
I'm on Instagram, Navy Steel. Don't ask where I got that name from. That was I probably need to change that. But y'all can find me on Instagram, Navy Steel. I'm on Twitter. You can find me at Cross Trojans or Coach Trojan. And of course I'm on Facebook. All of the platforms. That's where I am. But yeah, I'm not hard to find, man. I'm not hard to find at all. I'm a low country guy, pretty well known in the low country. So and appreciate you guys having me on this platform, man. I really truly enjoyed this hour or so conversation.
Appreciate you coming on.
Appreciate you coming on. And much success to you. And I thank you for giving you your time tonight. So God bless you and continue success.
All right, guys, man. God bless you guys. And hey, is there any way I can kind of look at these shows while y'all have this going on? I'm able, because I want to hear some other people as well.
I will definitely send you everything.
Okay, appreciate that, man. You guys do a good job.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, guys.
All right, peace.
I walked in the place, sat by the bar, all the drinks on me, don't go too far, sitting by the bartender,